Okay, good morning, Moadim L'Simcha. Today's daf is Yevamos Mem Beis. Just a quick point of order. The goal, not today, but hopefully by Thursday, we will be, I would love to be at least an amud ahead of the game. I want to be at least an amud ahead of the game. And then do a blot and a half the second day Yontif, and then one blot on Sunday to not have to do a full double daf on Sunday. So we'll see. I'll pace that out over the next few days. We'll see how it goes. Okay, we are going to start the last couple lines of Mem Aleph Amud Beis by the Tanur Rabbanan. Alex, we'll go ahead. Go. Tanur Rabbanan. Yevama shechotzu la'achiv b'soch shlosha. What happens if you have a Yevama, and her brothers-in-law do chalitza before 3 months are up? Tzricha lahamtin shlosha chadashim. So she needs to wait before she can marry. She needs to wait 3 months. So what does that mean? Rashi, last line. Ad sheyihula shlosha chadashim miyom misa. So it's from the time of death, not from the time of chalitza. Top of Amud Aleph. La'achar shlosha ein tzricha lahamtin. But after 3 months, she does not need to wait. Gimel chadashim. She does not need to wait another 3 months. So let's say, for example, what?
You have the extra one. I want to give them.
I'm your little one.
Oh, sure.
Wrong. They flipped volumes on me.
That was a while ago.
No, just it was overshot over yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was,
Mem Beis, yesterday's daf was the first.
Really?
Today's or yesterday's?
And yesterday I had my.
they don't always start in the middle of the parak?
They usually do. Thank you.
Right there.
I thought it was at the end of the parak.
Okay, so a Yevama needs to wait. We know that Yevama needs to wait 3 months for chalitza. So the Gemara says that if the brothers-in-law are choletzer, then she needs to wait 3 months. Rashi explains, from the time of her first husband's death before she can remarry. However, after the 3 month mark, she does chalitza. She can get married right away. So Havi hashlosha chadashim she'amru mishas misas habal v'lo mishas chalitzas hayavim. So the Gemara clarifies, as Rashi just explained, that the 3 months she needs to wait is not from the time of chalitza, but from the time of the death of her husband. Maishnam biget. Now, there is a difference between the way we time things out with chalitza and the way we time things out with get. Machlokas Rav and Shmuel. Derav Amar Mishas Nesina, because Rav holds that we make a divorcee wait 3 months from the time she receives the get, according to Rav. Shmuel Amar Mishas Ksiva, and Shmuel says that we allow her 3 months. That we allow her to get married 3 months after the get itself is written, and the reason is because once the get is written, she and her first husband are usher and yichud. So you don't have to worry about a pregnancy. If they were to be together after the get is written, so that is referred to as a, I'm blanking on the phrase, but anyway, that is not a good get. So Amar Rava, so this seems to be a kasha on Rav, because chalitza and get, we know, are of somewhat of a similar status. So why is it that the chalutza does not need to wait 3 months from the chalitza? She only has to wait from the time of her husband's death. Amar Rava kal v'chomer, because we make a kal v'chomer iser kares hitarta, right? So at the 3rd month, we allow an iser kares, meaning by the end of the 3rd month, we allow her brother-in-law to marry her, right? And to because of the chiddush of yibum, to avoid the issue of eishes ach. However, that's still a chiyuv kares. Isser lav or kol shekein, but the isser lav of a chalutza going out to marry whoever she wants at the 3 month mark, that's only allowed. So of course she is going to be allowed to do that.
There's no misa sabal at all. I mean,
But you still have to worry about who's the father of the baby. That's the issue.
Yes. Yeah, you can't only for the time.
If you're gonna wait for the guy to die after the get, I mean, may not die for another 5 years or 10 years.
Right, at least you're not worried that, the husband already died, so she can't be pregnant.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand. So I was thinking about that too. I mean, there's a Matthias difference in the
Yeah,
cases.
exactly.
But because of the similarities between statuses of chalutza and a
Yeah,
grusha,
yeah,
all right. So 2.56 lines down. V'chein shar kol hanashim. So we said that the rule is true not only by women who are involved in the yibum process, but any other woman needs a separation of 3 months between first husband and second husband. Bishlema yavama kida amarin. So it makes sense. All the cases of yibum that we've seen, just like we've already explained. Elashar kol hanashim amai. But why do we need to wait 3 months for all other women? Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel, Mishum de Amar Kra, Lios Lachal Elokim, Lezaracha Acharecha. Rav Nachman says the name of Shmuel because we have a pasuk in Bereshis that indicates that your children should follow you. And Rashi explains, the Rashi in the third narrow line down, Alan, sorry, that designation is not going to work for you. That the Shechina only rests, whatever that means, on those whose status is one of certainty. So we say lahavchin ben zaro back in the Gemara, lahavchin ben zaro sharishon lazaro shal sheni, and we need to make sure that we have a very, very clear delineation between which are the children of the first husband, regardless of how that first marriage ended, and the children of the second husband.
The reality is actually that chalitza, you don't really even have to wait 3 months since you're not having any relations with her. Your mom may have to make sure who is
Well, she
who.
don't necessarily.
But she could already be pregnant
Right.
within that 3 months. So we're going to get to how we figure that out.
What's the downside of chalitza? If she is pregnant, then obviously the chalitza is needed.
Right.
It's also not only she, it's
But
also-
that was
she's
yesterday.
also
That was
asura.
yesterday's machlokas, whether that chalitza is valid or not.
She's also a surah if she's pregnant.
Yes,
Because
but
she's
for a
an
different.
Shesach.
Right, but she can't be legal. with chalitza.
Right, but then you accidentally. That's what we had yesterday that you missed at the very top of Memal from the base. Right? Look, Bishlam and Loti
Yeah,
Shavim
yeah,
Shema
yeah.
Yev Vlad Ben Kayama V'Kapaga B'Isri Shishach D'Oraisa.
Yeah.
Right, so that's kind of a problem. So that's why we wait. Masiv Rabba Lefichach Ger V'Giores Tzrichin Lahamtin Shalosh Chadashim. So then a ger and a giores who are marrying one another, they should actually need to separate and remarrying one another. Rather, they would need to separate and not have relations for 3 months. But what clarity do we need? They're the same people. In Achanami, that the status of the child would be different if they had a kid before they were in a state of kedusha and after, but it's the same people. So you're not worried about a question of paternity. So we've seen that in other places. But yes, they still need to separate because there is an issue of there's a little bit of psul for a child who's not conceived completely in kedusha. Rava Amar. So now, within the shita of Rav Nachman in the name of Shmuel, we had a reason that had to do with the status of the child. That's why we need to wait. Rava says there really is a different line of reasoning. Number one, if it's not clear that he is the son of the first father, he may end up marrying his sister through his father because he might think that he's actually the child of the second one, right? V'yavam v'yibim eshes achiv me'imo. And if it's not clear who his father is, he might think that he is the son of the first husband, but he might come to be miyavim, his maternal brother, because he didn't realize he's not that kid's brother from the same father. And if it's not clear who his father is, he might be the child of the first husband. He might be the child of the.
He could be child of the first husband.
He might
the
be-
second husband dies.
The second husband dies.
But the
and
second
then
husband
she-
needs Yibum.
that-
She needs Yibum because of the second husband.
Yeah.
She needs Yibum because of the second, but if it's not clear,
Right.
she might require Yibum from that second husband's brother. And then the final case is V'yiftor Sivim Tul Lashuk. His own Yavama could be a problem because if the family of the first husband thinks that he's part of the second family,
His brother.
his brother, his sister-in-law from his real father, the first husband, could go free when really he's the Yavam. So now you have two lines of reasoning. One has to do with the status of the Vlad. The other has to do with all these cases of potential erva deoraisa. Masiv Rav Chananya asks a kasha on Rava's explanation from a brisa. In all of the previous cases of Yibum, we say that the reason has to do with Takanas Erva, the Kan Mishum Takanas Vlad. But here, in the non-Yibum cases, we say that the reason that the wife needs to wait 3 months before remarrying is because of the status of the child. V'im Isa, and if, Rava, you are correct, that is those 4 cases of Erva, Kula Mishum Takanas Erva, then the whole reasoning of all of these cases should be Erva. It shouldn't have anything to do with the status of the child. So answers the Gemara, Hai Mishum Takanas Vlad, the Lo Paga B'hu Erva. Really, it's both. We are concerned about the status of the Vlad so that he doesn't accidentally come to a situation of Erva with one of his either half siblings or sisters-in-law. So now the Gemara is going to shift to figure out why 3 months exactly. Why can it be a little bit less? And he'll give a number. The Gemara will give a number of different cases that we're going to go through right now. We know that she can't wait 2 months. Oh, sorry. One quick point of Divrei Hakdama on this. The important thing to realize within this whole Gemara is that according to the Gemara, there are 2 possible time frames for a Vlad to be Kayim during a pregnancy: 9 months
7 months.
and 7 months. At 8 months, Rashi says a little bit lower on the Amud, Bar Tamnia Lochai, that an 8-month gestation, the kid does not survive. So let's ignore modern medicine, but that's what the Gemara's line of thinking at this point. All right. So we say that a child that if the wife only waits 2 months, there's a significant suffix as to whether the child is a 7-month-old of the second husband or a 9-month-old of the first husband. Exactly. Whether it's a 9-month for the first or the 7-month-old for the second. But why can't she just wait 1 month and then go ahead and get married? If she has a baby 7 months after getting married to the second husband, well, then that's had that second husband 7-month-old. And if she has a baby 8 months later, then that's clearly the 9-month-old of the first
It
husband.
means the child lives. It's got to be one or the other.
It's got to be one or the other. He's either she was pregnant for 7 or she was pregnant for 9. 8 is not an option, except for it's about to be.
Yeah.
Inami.
Exactly.
Latamnia Yalda. Maybe, well, what happens if she has a baby 8 months after the second marriage? We could say that the child belongs to the second husband. Dilma ishtahuye ishtaha chodesh echad ve'iyaber. Maybe either she waited or she couldn't get pregnant right away. But either way, she got pregnant a month after the second marriage. 1 month plus 7 months is 8. Therefore, it could be that if she has a baby at the 8-month mark, it still could be her 7-month child. So then asks the Gemara, well, then why can't she just wait 2.5 months instead of waiting the full 3? And then she could get married. Because if she has a baby 7 months after getting married, well, then it's the 7-month gestation of the second husband's child. But and then if she has a baby at the 6.5 month mark after her second marriage, then this child could be the 9-month baby of the first husband. The ibar barsahu barshisa upalgo lochaye. Because if you would want to think that a baby born after 6.5 months of the second marriage belongs to the second husband, that's not possible because that child, after 6.5 months in the womb, will not survive. Inami, l'shisa opalga yalda, ikalamemar debasrahu, or you could say that if she has a baby 6.5 months after getting married to the second husband, really it could be hers. Why? That according to Marzutra says, even according to the opinion that somebody who gives birth after 9 months, meaning it's not going to be like 8 months in a week. There's no like mechza kakula when it comes to a 9-month pregnancy. It's got to be 9 months of 30-ish days each. So that's what limikutain means. But yolda l'shiva, yoledes limikutain. However, if she has a baby within around the 7-month mark, you don't need to count full months. How do we know? This is when Chana was pregnant with Shmuel. So the pasuk says, "Vayehi l'tekufos hayamim." So mio tekufos, the minimum of 2 seasons of 3 months each, right? So that's 2. Miut yamim, and the minimum plural number of days is 2. So that means that she was pregnant for 6 months and 2 days. So you see the raya there that somebody can be in the 7th month and still have a viable child. So now the Gemara wants to know, v'tamtin mashu v'tinase. Well, why can't she wait a mashu? According to Rashi, 1 or 2 weeks. According to Tosfos, at least 3 days. The Steinsaltz says something less than a month, or maybe it was Art Scroll. So somehow it's a very, very short amount of time. That's less than any of the other cases we've already covered. And then after she gets to the 3-month mark, post her second wedding night, we do a serious examination. Rashi explains that we examine her breasts because even a woman who may not be showing abdominally at the 3-month mark, in the upper area of her body, there are going to be changes that in a close examination, we'll be able to figure that out. So why can't you do that? Just get an exam at the 3-month mark. If we see signs of pregnancy, then we know it's the first husband. If not, then she's in the clear. Because of the intensity of the Badika, Rav Safra says we don't check married women because we don't want them to become disgusting to their husbands. So Gemara wants to know, Benivdika behilucha. Why can't we just check in the way she walks? Rashi says they put wet dirt on the ground and make her walk, and because she will have gained weight, her foot imprints are deeper than they would be otherwise. Others explain that it's the way she walks. This is a Gemara for Republicans. Amar Rabbi Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama says that her walk is not a good way to figure it out because Isha Mechafa Atzma, because she's going to do whatever she can to hide her pregnancy as long as possible. Why? Because she wants her child to be Yoresh, the second husband. So she doesn't want any thinking that maybe the pregnancy is from the first husband. Okay, so that's the end of that circle. So
why is that? What's the advantage of being the second husband? Being Yoresh?
I guess he'll care for her more if it's his son.
It's a Yoresh.
That's what Yoresh says.
I guess it's like we say it, maybe, I don't know.
Kind of strange.
Yeah.
Here, Rashi, 5th line down. She doesn't want anybody to understand that he is possibly the son of the first husband, and that she wants him instead to inherit from her second husband. Now, it could very well be that her former father-in-law is still alive. So the kid got no Yerusha anyway, because when the father passed away, if he's not recognized as a viable kid, the Yerusha goes up, not sideways or down, it just goes up. So it could be that because of that fact, he might not have gotten anything anyway, if there's no recognition that he's the first husband's child. So therefore, she wants him recognized as her second husband's child so that he'll be the Yoresh of that husband.
Well, we had the cases a few days ago where each set of brothers are pushing the guy away.
That's right. They're like, no, you're the father of this one.
So she wants it clear that it's one of them.
Right.
Even though it might be a lie, that's what she wants.
Right,
That's
but she
the
wants it
clarity.
clear that it's
That's the clarity she's seeking.
Right.
So now where the Gemara concluded is that we need to wait 3 months in order to have absolute clarity on who the father of this woman's child is.
Not specifically young, in any case.
Any case,
Yeah.
right? Any case. So now the Gemara shifts gears. What happens if we know she's pregnant? Right? Why bother waiting? If, let's say, when she falls to Yibum, she's 6 months pregnant. Well, then it's not Yibum anymore. Right? As long as the kid's viable, it's not Yibum anymore. So why do they need to wait 3 months? There's no question of paternity. So that's the Gemara's mahalach right now.
Okay, well, hang on.
Yes.
If she then aborts or miscarries,
Let's say it's a second kid. But forget the issue of healing.
No.
No, but let's say forget just marrying the shuk, you still want to make sure that it's 3 months.
That's why you wait 3 months.
Right,
Yeah.
even if, but
No, if you
regardless,
know she's pregnant, then there's no reason.
no, but I'm saying, right,
If
I'm
she
saying,
doesn't have the baby though,
even if she has, a woman who gets divorced, we wanna, we make her wait 3 months.
right,
The point is, if she's pregnant at the time of the divorce, then the question still comes up, why are we waiting? We know who the father is.
Correct, but then that is exactly the issue
That's
that the
what
Gemara is
the
going
Gemara is
to
about to
get.
talk about, that's again, that's not, I'm saying, it doesn't-
not a case of evil.
my case is saying, it doesn't necessarily have to do with evil, it could be with any.
But the risk, Chazal were willing to take the risk
Yeah,
that, well, what happens if she loses the baby after the fact? Well, then he's Pogeh Beishasach, right?
That's by you.
That's by you specifically. We're not,
yeah.
at this point, we're not talking about you.
Exactly.
Heicha de Kimle Miuberes. Heicha de Kimlan de Miuberesi Tinase, right? So if all of this is about proving paternity, then where we already know she's pregnant, then why shouldn't she be able to get married right away? But then if that's the case, then why do we have a brisa that teaches that a person should not marry his friend's former wife, and a woman who is nursing his friend's child, and if he does marry a pregnant or nursing woman, he has to divorce her, and he can never take her back. Why? Because we're worried that she will become pregnant with a second fetus while pregnant with the first and create a deformed child. So we're worried about that. So ihachi, if that's the case, dideinami. Well, then what about just a regular husband and wife? A guy whose wife is already pregnant.
Yeah.
How can they have relations? We should have the same concern. So say, according to the Mandamar, that she can use some sort of protection, a diaphragm, then she should go ahead and use that. Then
Yeah.
then HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu will protect us, so we don't worry about the husband. Asks the Gemara, Hachanami. What about a case where it's her next marriage? According to the opinion that she's allowed to use a contraceptive, then go right ahead. So why can't those both be viable options for the second marriage to protect the child? Ella must be a different case, must be a different reason. Mishum dechasa. It's because of the physical pressure the man puts on the woman and on her existing fetus during bia. So ihachi, if we're concerned that that's really a risk to the fetus, dideinami.
Yeah.
Well, then what about a regular married couple? Didei chayiselua. Well, he'll be careful and he'll be a little more gentle because it's his own and he's worried about it. Well, here's here too. Even though it's not his child, he still doesn't want to damage a potential baby, so he's going to be more gentle. So rather, we need another reason why she needs to wait. Rather, eventually, God willing, will end up nursing this child. And Dilma Ibra umeachar chalba. But what happens if she actually gets pregnant with a second fetus at the same time as the first? The milk will dry up or the milk will spoil. The katlale, and she'll end up, strong language, she'll end up killing her first viable fetus. Ihachi, didei nami.
Right.
What about in a regular situation? Same question as before. Didei memasmisa le bebeitzim v'chala. Well, that's okay, because if that happens, she's always able to sustain the baby, the baby post once it's born, with milk and eggs. So you don't need to worry about her own nursing. Once she has the baby, worried about a menekes, right? If she's already nursing, don't worry.
But you can do that with any case. That's what.
Eggs and milk, and the kid will be fine. Don't worry about her milk. So asks the Gemara, well, didanami, but they can also support
No, right.
the child of the first husband, even though this second husband's going to be caring for him with milk and eggs. Lo yoiv labal, but we're worried that the second husband's not going to want to pay and support somebody else's child.
So actually, in any case, even if the baby's born already, you should let someone get married.
Okay, Nachanami, or at least post, that's right. Asks the Gemara, well, then why can't she take the first husband's family to court and make them support her and make them support her child? They're Yoresh. Amar Abaye, Isha Bushala Valabesin, that a woman is too embarrassed to go claim monetary support in court, the Horegas Esbina.
Wow.
And we're worried that she will inadvertently kill her own child. So for all of those reasons, we make her wait. So of course, 3 months if she is not pregnant. If she is pregnant, we wait until she is done nursing to allow her to marry, to avoid any risk to her existing child. We said, achas besulos, achas bulos, we had a whole long list of people who had to wait 3 months. Hainu besulos, hainu arusos. Aren't besulos and arusos the same? Hainu beulos, hainu nesuos. So beulos and nesuos are the same. You would assume that somebody who's had nesu and has had bia. Rabbi Yehuda Hachikamer. Here's what it means. Achas besulos, achas beulos. Whether Basulos or those who have already had bia, shenis armalu or shenis garshu, whether they were widowed or divorced, bein mina erusin, bein mina nesuin, whether they had erusin or they went all the way through with a full marriage of nesuin, they must wait 3 months. Rabbi Elazar lo ala be medrasha. One day Rabbi Elazar didn't make it to the base medrash. Ashkechil Rabbi Asi, and he bumped into Rabbi Asi. Amarle, and he said to Rabbi Asi, "My Amar Rabbanan medrasha. What did we learn today in base medrash? What did I miss?" So Rabbi Asi responded to Rabbi Elazar that they taught in the name of Rabbi Yochanan that the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi. You may recall that Rabbi Yossi was the third opinion in our Mishnah. There was a Tanakama, there was Rabbi Yehuda, I believe, and the third opinion here, it's at the bottom of Mem Aleph and Mem Aleph, and the third opinion was Rabbi Yossi. So Michlal, the Yechida Palagale. So that would suggest, when you say halacha Rabbi Yossi, that he was only up against another das Yachid. Because had he been up against the Rabbanan, Yachid v'Rabim, we're going to pass him like the Rav. So hence is the Gemara in. Yes, it's a das Yachid. V'hatanya, we have a brayso to prove it. Haresh, I said we do for leilich lebeis avia. If a woman would regularly spend time in her father's house, away from her husband, oh shahayala kas bebeis bala, or she was angry at her husband for the period before he died and they were not physically together, or her husband was in jail, or he was old and unable to have children, or he was ill, or she was ill, or she had a miscarriage after the death of her first husband, or she was unable to have children, barren, zakena, Ketana, islandess. She was too old to have children, or she was too young to have children, or she did not have the female capacity to give birth. Or for some other reason, she was unable to give birth. So that is the opinion of Rabbi Meir. According to Rabbi Meir, because
No matter what, that doesn't matter.
Rabbi Yossi's opinion is she can get married right away. Nesua or Arusa, right away, don't worry about it. Rabbi Yehuda matili arzvuli nasa miyad. Rabbi Yehuda, similar to the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, allows her to get engaged or fully married immediately, proving, that at least there, in that construction, it's a das yachid against Rabbi Yossi. I'm Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Chazar bo Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Chia bar Abba says that Rabbi Yochanan retracted his psak and did not hold that we paskin like Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yosef, for what reason did he do that? Rabbi Yosef says, that if he was choser on that position, it's because of a teaching from Keren B'Yavne. The Tanya, Rabbi Shmuel b'nosh Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. Rabbi Shmuel said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, Shamati mipi chachamim mikeren B'Yavne. I heard in the name of Talmidei Chachamim. That's the operative word here, plural. Chachamim mikeren B'Yavne. That all women need to wait 3 months before getting married, and that's the proof that that opinion is not a das yachid only Rabbi Meir. It's also the chachamim of Keren B'Yavne, which is why Rabbi Yochanan retracted his psak that we hold like Rabbi Yossi, because it turns out that Rabbi Yossi was not going up against another das yachid; he was going up against multiple chachamim in Keren B'Yavne. Amalei Rabbi Yirmiyah, the Rabbi Zrika. Rabbi Yirmiyah said to Rabbi Zrika, Ki ailas lakami to Rabbi Avo. When you go to visit Rabbi Avo to talk and learning, Rami lay the following. Ask him the following question: Mi Amar Rabbi Yochanan halacha Rabbi Yossi. Did Rabbi Yochanan, even though we debunked this, originally say that the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi, that you need to wait? Amar Rabbi Yochanan halacha kestam Mishnah. Didn't Rabbi Yochanan say that the halacha is like a stam Mishnah? Vitznan, and we learned kol anashim lo yinasu v'lo yisarsu ad sheyuhu lahem shlosha chadashim. That women, whether they were that are not allowed to get married, they're not allowed to get engaged until they have a full 3 months of separation from their previous relationship. Achas besulos, the achas beulos, whether they were virgins or not. Amar le. So that would seem to indicate that Stam Mishnah indicates that they have to wait,
Yeah, not like Rabbi Yossi.
not like Rabbi Yossi, because Rabbi Yossi said they don't need to wait at all. So in the face of a Stam Mishnah, how could Rabbi Yochanan have paskin like Rabbi Yossi?
Even though so this is between when he retracted and between when he originally said
Or after the fact? Like how would you even think that Rabbi Yochanan really held that way, even
I
before he
see, I
retracted his
see.
Pesach? So Amar Le, so now this is Rabbi Avo responding to Rabbi Zrika on behalf of Rabbi Yirmiyah's question. Amar Le, the Ramalacha, whoever asked you that question, halochash lekimche. He's not paying such close attention to his flour. So colloquially, what that means is the guy really didn't check his details so much. Like it's not a very carefully asked question. Why not? Because stam ve'achar kach machlokesi. Because this is a case where there was a stam statement of the Mishnah, followed by a machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, maybe Rabbi Meir, whoever it was. Ve'achar kach machlokes ve'ein halacha k'stam. And in that situation, we don't paskin like the stam. Damar of Papa v'tem Rabbi Yochanan, because we say in a teaching of Rav Papa, and oddly enough in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, machlokes ve'achar kach stam, halacha k'stam. If you have a machlokes followed by a generic statement of the Mishnah, that's when we, or in a stam alone, of course, that's when we paskin like the stam. But stam ve'achar kach machlokes ein halacha k'stam. But a stam statement and afterwards a machlokes, we don't paskin like the stam, and that's why Rabbi Yochanan could have said that the initial opinion, that his initial psak was like Rabbi Yossi. Okay, we're going to stop here. So we're going to pick up tomorrow, and for Daf Mem Gimel, Yesher Koach, it would be nice if we could get to the Mishnah toward the bottom of Mem Daled Amud Aleph. So I'm going to try and prepare for that, and we'll go there and try to get a little bit ahead as we go into the week.
Wait from offices and stuff that you don't take 3 months for. When you divorce your wife and said, oh, and they decide to go back.
Probably, presumably not, because she's not allowed to marry anybody else in the interim.